The common sentiment of editing is that's where the story is told. What if I told you I disagree? The story has already been filmed. The story has already been constructed. What editing is actually doing is finding and presenting a path for the audience to experience the story. And so with that pretentious opening statement, what does that mean for the content creators that watch this channel? What editing techniques can you do to optimize your content and give your audiences the best experience? Well, I'm gonna give you five basic editing techniques that are actually secrets that everyone should really know about. Well, hello there. Firstly, if this is the second or third time that you've seen me and you're not subscribed, that's the universe telling you that you need to subscribe. That's the formalities done. Let's talk about editing. Number one of the first important tips I want to give you, murder your darlings. The best example for me is there was this one piece of content that I was editing. I was spoiled with the amount of fantastic footage that I could play with, and I wanted to show all of it off, but it was too long. What ended up happening was I ended up repeating the same emotion constantly over and over again for a whole minute. If it undermines the value of the rest of the edit, cut it. So I chose to murder my darlings. It started off as 1 minute, but instead I made it 20 seconds. What that means is you're respecting your audience's emotional investment by not making them bored. Speaking of respecting audiences, my next point is don't be obligated to making 10-minute videos. Yes, having a longer watch time on your videos means you earn more AdSense. There is a border where if you stretch your videos to be over 10 minutes, not enough happens in your video, or the pacing is incredibly slow, or it's simply not engaging enough for the 10 minutes, they're gonna click off, which defeats the point of having extended watch time if they don't engage in the full video. Instead of focusing on your desire to have ads, instead focus on your desire to have the best quality of time. You will develop a more positive relationship with your audience. That's why this year, me and Logan have switched our videos to be less than 6 minutes, and many other creators have switched to that priority as well. This new trend has worked out so well. That's why YouTube has now changed the obligation of 10 minutes down to 8 minutes. One of the easiest ways you can make your audience uncomfortable, especially if it's like a locked off setup like this, is when you're jump cutting and cropping in, not to maintain your eye line. Whenever an audience is presented with a new shot or a new frame, one of the first things they instinctively look for is the eyes. And so whenever there is a new framing and they're looking for the eyes, you need to make sure it's easier to find, because the less time they have to readjust, the easier the cuts flow. So how do you do it properly? You should use an X and a line across the screen, and then use that as a framing guide to help match the eye line and its continuity. That little bit of extra work helps make the cuts flow so much better. One example is this is the one time we used matching eye lines to create a match cut.
We hired someone to get a piano accordion, then do something. I bet it'd be great. This is great.
Now, using flowing cuts as a segue, I need to talk to you about the most important way to make your cuts flow beautifully. The J-cut. The easiest way to explain it is the J-cut means the audio plays before the visuals. The reason why this is important for the audio and the visual to play at different times is because if both of them were played at the exact same time, that's 2 new pieces of information for audiences to process. And so it's better, and your cuts will flow so much smoother when the audio plays just 2 to 3 frames before the visual comes in. Just that little touch will make your cuts so much smoother. Now, this is the most important aspect of editing that every single person needs to understand. What's important is your control of doubt, assuming that you cannot or never will be a good creator, because I promise you, in time, you will be. I get hundreds of these messages every single day. I don't have good editing software. I don't know how to tell a good story. I don't know where to find music. And since I don't know what to do, I cannot be a good creator. And that's very understandable. Where you don't immediately know what to do next, or not achieving what you imagined, that can be discouraging. And the best way for me to talk about this is you're asking me these questions with the context of I don't. You're concerned that you're not good enough and therefore limiting yourself. But what's beautiful is that you can ask those same questions, but with curiosity. I suggest you think like this. Instead of saying, I don't know how to make this good, you need to ask, I want to know how to make this good. And just with that little attitude shift, you've just given yourself permission to explore and go on a journey to find that answer. I call it the curiosity loop, where finding out an answer only gives you more questions for you to answer next. And you keep on finding those answers to improve your own ability just bit by bit. Every time I came across something that I didn't immediately know how to fix, I could have either doubted myself or be excited about how I can tackle this problem. And I still have that curiosity loop every single day. And I am still constantly and always learning. And the best way to summarize what curiosity is and how important it is to learn, I've never written an inspirational, motivational speech before, but I wanted to. I was curious to try if I could write an inspirational, motivational speech. This might not be the best speech you've ever heard. It might just be the most pretentious, but I was curious to try. And that's just so exciting.